Hi everyone. So today we'll discuss something different which we don't discuss usually on this channel, and I think that this technique which I'm going to discuss in this video is going to be beneficial for all of you in whether you are doing machine learning or deep learning or any other field for that matter. So today we are going to talk about open source implementations and how you can use it to enhance your productivity and get more out of what you are doing right now. So why open source? So it's a really good habit and you are doing a really good job if you are contributing to open source community. And you know, computer vision, whether it's computer vision or NLP or deep learning, all these communities have been so much supportive, and all these deep learning frameworks which you are using, be it TensorFlow, Keras or PyTorch, these are a result of great hard work put on by open source communities, and it's really good if you are contributing your code back to the open source community. And so there are so many advantages, and I have listed a few of them, and it's really good to contribute to the machine learning community. And when you are seeing other people's code, you get to learn a lot. And when you are trying to implement neural networks, now I've seen so many people, be it PhD students also, they really find it difficult to replicate what has been accomplished in the research papers. And if you are able to see the source code, there's so many things which you get to learn from others, and you can make their initialization, their implementation as your initialization project. So I'm going to discuss about transfer learning in the next upcoming video, which will be about making others implementation as your initialization point and then building up from there. And when you are trying to take someone else's implementation, you are enhancing your productivity, because starting something from scratch may be a good exercise, but if you have a time constraint and you are really doing something different and you are doing something sort of research, you may want to take someone else's project or implementation as your starting point and then building up there. And one different example is it can save computation. So how? So I'm going to be covering this topic in transfer learning, but I can give you an intuition that all these models like VGG16, VGG19, ResNets, Google Nets, so all these models run internet competition, and all these are basically made by people who have access to multi GPUs and have great deep learning researchers behind them. And maybe you don't have access to that resources, and it really becomes difficult for you to make or replicate the same model, and it becomes really difficult for that. So you can just use those models and then you can fine tune it according to your own purpose, and I hope it serves your task as well which you are doing. And so the best way is, if you are already familiar with how GitHub works, then this video may be somewhat less important from now on, but I'll be adding content which you don't feel out of the place. So let me give you a concrete example over here. So let's say you want to research on adversarial networks. So write GitHub, and what you are going to get, you are going to be receiving the links for so many repositories. So I'm going to open the link by the repository of Jan Goodfellow, and so this repository basically consists of all the codes and hyperparameters which he published for his paper generated by adversarial network scans. And you can take ideas from how he was able to train his neural network. See, training GANs is really difficult as compared to other neural network architectures such as CNNs and RNNs, because it's difficult to stabilize them, and you have these two neural networks which you have to take care of. Let's say you want to research further on DC GANs, deep convolutional generated adversarial networks. So Somit, he is working at Facebook Research, and he published a paper on DC GANs. So note that the original paper was implemented in Torch, but if you see it on GitHub, there are so many people who have replicated that same thing on in TensorFlow or Keras for that matter. And usually in a repository there's a readme file, you can go through it, and it consists of the prerequisites and how you can build up on your local machine and what you really need in order to proceed further. And usually all the things are really in this repository only. You can also try contributing to the deep learning framework. Like contributing to these frameworks is not that easy because there are so many things which are to be considered while doing that, but you can gain intuition on and you see the code for yourself on how things are working when you are using them and what's being used at the back end of it. So it's a really nice job, and I do it all the time whenever I feel I'm getting some sort of error and I want to see what's the code and what do I really need to do in order to get it working. So all you really need to do is, let's say, talk about this repository. So what you really need to do is, if you have Git installed on your local machine, then you just copy it to clipboard. So there are two ways of cloning the repository. Either you can download the zip file or you can use Git, and Git is very efficient way of version control. And so all you need to do is copy it and then just open up your terminal and write git clone and then paste the repository name, and simply that repository will be cloned in just a few minutes. That's it. So that's all the time it takes to replicate what all has been here. And if you find any sort of issues, for that matter, you can just go over to the issues section and then file an issue for that matter. And if your issue works fine and is solving the purpose for many, then it will be considered, and maybe you can send a pull request if you want to make some changes in the source code itself, and if that's reasonable and works fine, then it will possibly be merged. So that's it for this video. I hope you like it, and later on in the next video section I'm going to be talking about transfer learning for machine learning and deep learning, and it's really helpful technique and can boost your productivity so many times if you are using it, and it saves a lot of computation. So if you have any doubts regarding the section being covered in any of the videos, feel free to leave down in the comment section below, and stay connected. Thank you for watching this video.